So, this is a battle I've teased for a while now. A matchup of two of my favorite characters in DC Comics and comics in general. Lobo, the main man, the hooligan himself, versus Larfleeze, the Orange Lantern that literally wants everything. Who would come out on top if these two really battled it out? I'm going to review feats for each of them and then break down who I believe wins. So let's get started. Now, Lobo has been around since post-crisis. Essentially, Lobo was made, this is kind of confuses people, but Lobo was made as a knockoff of Wolverine, but not anything to do with powers or anything like that. What the knockoff was making fun of the anti-hero genre that Marvel was capitalizing on because of Wolverine's popularity. DC made Lobo to make fun of that, anti-hero type mold, and it turned out to be super popular. It was Stan Lee's favorite character in DC. And Lobo got a lot of press over years, especially being the guy that trolls everyone and being the guy that trolls Superman. Some of his feats, he was unharmed by Dr. Fate's hit squad. These high-level magicians weren't able to do anything. His willpower and his pinky equals Green Lantern's. His bike is always ready. His bike also has planetary busting defenses and the defenses that scale higher based on opponents he's fought. He's been able to beat up and get the drop on Manhunter multiple times. He's blitzed Hal Jordan easily. He bullied Superman in their first encounter and amped Superman didn't hurt him. All he said was like, "Oh wow, he's actually pissed." Despite getting punched into outer space, he can regenerate from pretty much one cell. He can bypass intangibility. He's been able to beat up and absolutely bully Shazam. He's blitzed Superman, used his chain to wrap him up and threw him. He's been able to calculate and tag Flash casually. He was able to drop kick Superman at a later date, and Superman was pissed. His clones are able to rival him in hacks and hacks defenses, as evidenced when Starro was attempting to infiltrate the mind of a clone of Lobo. He's been able to take people on without a head at all. He has super senses. He can resist telepathy that bodied the Justice League. He's regen from his skeleton. He has, once again, shown Superman tier and Superman tier plus levels of telepathic resistance. He can create at his peak clones based on drops of blood. So if he sheds blood in battle, he can create clones. I will be using the strongest version of Lobo, by the way, against Larfleeze to make it fair. He's been able to casually take on universal controlling reality warpers. God and Dave summoned him to realms they created, and they controlled everything there. And they were unable to affect Lobo. They initially wanted him to take part in their game, and he actually killed them. He's one-shot Shazam casually with a backhand. Eclipso, who's been able to battle Spectre, only tickled him with his chaos magic. He's bullied Big Barda. He can sense any weakness you have and track you anywhere. He's been able to keep up with Etrigan, as well as beat people who beat Etrigan, and he can tank his Hellfire. He's one-shot Martian Manhunter, throwing the lantern at him. Superman couldn't process the raw speed of Lobo when Lobo was blitzing. He's fought Despero, who thrashed the Justice League. Cut the head off of Santa. And once again, he's consistently at least Superman level, if not above, when he's really going at it. So that's in one corner. Lobo, the main man, one of my favorite characters ever. In the other corner is the god of greed himself, Larfleeze. Larfleeze is an Orange Lantern. Initially, he was left alone by the Guardians of the Universe because his power, essentially, if greed exists anywhere, Larfleeze will exist. He killed off the remaining members and is the sole Orange Lantern, which makes him the sole possessor of the Orange Lantern core. Guardians understood his power and how much of a problem he would be if he was involved in regular events, so they let him keep his section, but eventually Larfleeze got into the mix with the DC universe. So what are some of the things he's done? He's been able to completely solo a House of Gods. He was compared as a parallax level threat, if not above. He was able to fight complete tangents of green and blue lanterns, as well as guardians. He is able to turn anyone he beats and kills into his Orange Lantern constructs. He was pissed off that he couldn't get his paws on Santa because Hal Jordan told him Santa wasn't real, but Larfleeze was hell about it. It's suggested and argued that he's in fact immortal. His power is so pure and purer than every other Lantern Corps because he has never shared it. He's been able to casually wreck the Guardians of the Universe, who, if you remember, one of the Guardians blew himself up. BFR'd, got rid of Superboy Prime. He becomes a living power battery. His constructs can act independently, and he doesn't have to be there in the fight. Also, like I said, they can be whoever he kills. He's pulled up on Oa without a problem in the Guardians, and even animated a Guardian as his construct. He can basically go anywhere as long as greed manifests itself. He eats Bloom, the hunger god, and destroys him. He wiped out the angel race, and the angel race stated that Larfleeze was the most evil being in existence, which would include the likes of Darkseid. Kyle Rayner was unable to control avarice. He could control all the other emotions on the emotional spectrum, but the Orange Lantern got to him. The gods he bodied, I'll give you like some of their what they actually do. There's the Wanderer Cena, seer of all space and time. Errata of the Void, a chaotic goddess in the form of a giant tornado. Nodens of the Hunt, a god that came to DC Universe specifically because he ran out of things to hunt. Dirge of all despair, a goddess that emits an aura of utter sadness and despair over the planet she currently resides over. Not shown was Zoom of all things, the most powerful member of the House of Tuath Dan. He's also the leader. And Ardora, a love infatuation goddess that everyone, including the other godlike beings, can't resist loving. Larfleeze didn't give a damn, bodied all of them. Greed itself, as it's shown in a later comic with Larfleeze, is weaker than Larfleeze. Larfleeze enslaved the idea of greed itself. Volthoom, one of the most powerful lanterns ever, can't change the essence of Larfleeze no matter the timeline or reality he goes to. So, who takes advantages and what? For strength and raw physical strength, probably Lobo by a little bit. Speed, they're pretty relative. Durability, kind of favor Lobo. He has better durability feats. Larfleeze kind of rolls through people before they can really get into him, but Larfleeze definitely no slouch. Intelligence, Lobo is actually one of the smartest characters in the DC universe. He just does hood rat stuff all the time. Skill, I'd have to give it to Lobo. Lobo has shown he's an expert hunter, probably the best hunter in the DC universe, as well as fighter. Hacks, abilities, and gear, Larfleeze, I gotta give it to him. Despite how impressive the bike and the chain and weaponry in Lobo's hacks are, that Orange Lantern is insane. So in the end, who do I think would win? Now, what we're going to say is Larfleeze has been too much of a troublemaker, and his contract on his head has gone out to my boy Lobo. Lobo's going to pull up on Larfleeze. Larfleeze, in kind, is not going to like what Lobo's doing. We're going to say Lobo has a sick chain on his neck, and Larfleeze decides he wants that, but to get that, he's got to go through Lobo. So we'll get them both at their peak, trying to do what they do best. Who comes out on top? Now, I favor Lobo as a character. Lobo's probably my favorite DC character, but I got to give it to Larfleeze. Larfleeze has just shown consistently he punches on almost another level than Lobo. I mean, yeah, Lobo handles Superman and all that, but we've seen Larfleeze casually body Guardians of the Universe. Hal Jordan using 2 lantern rings. He can, like lanterns, like Hal Jordan and stuff, they can power up to 100%. Larfleeze can power up to 100,000. And we know that Hal Jordan was capable of BFRing Lobo if it got too rough, but he couldn't beat Lobo. But 100,000 compared to 100%, obviously multiple time difference. as well as his constructs are going to be a major issue for Lobo. They're going to eat through anything Lobo throws at him. And in the end, it's just the power of the Orange Lantern core is going to be too much for Lobo to overcome, especially in the numbers game. Even if he bleeds, I think they're just going to get absorbed, and then multiple Lobos are going to be thrown at Lobo himself. In the end, because of his hacks and because of his raw power, Larfleeze will be too much for Lobo. Anyways, let me know what you think down below. Like I said, hard matchup for me to do because I love both characters, but only one can win. Anyways, let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, comment. It's been your boy Sir Splash, and I will see y'all later. Peace.